Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are going to completely shatter a massive myth, one that almost all of us were taught as absolute fact in school. We're diving deep into the true origins of money, and honestly, it's a wild story. We're talking ancient temples, baboon bones, and a fundamental misunderstanding of human history. So get ready, because we're about to completely shift your perspective on what exactly is sitting inside your wallet right now.
So let's kick things off with a super simple question. Did we ever actually barter? I mean, think about the classic story of economics, right? It dates all the way back to Adam Smith. We're told that before money, early humans had a really annoying problem. Picture a farmer who has extra grain, but he desperately wants some shoes. The cobbler has extra shoes, but he wants grain. Economists call this the coincidence of wants, and the story goes that money was naturally invented just to make trading these physical goods easier. Sounds perfectly logical, doesn't it? Well, here's the crazy part. The hard evidence, or actually the total lack of it, is pretty shocking. Anthropologist Caroline Humphrey dug into the ethnographic data and concluded something that turns this whole idea upside down. She said, and I quote, "No example of a barter economy, pure and simple, has ever been described. Ever. All the historical and anthropological evidence we have proves that pure barter was never, at any point, the main mode of exchange in any human society. So that barter system we all learned about as the origin of money, it is quite literally a myth." Okay, so if we weren't bartering, how on earth did early non-monetary societies actually operate? Well, let's dive into it. They actually functioned on incredibly complex networks of gifts, favors, and social debt. Think about it. If you needed something, your neighbor simply gave it to you. But this wasn't just pure charity. It created an implicit "I owe you." This ongoing, unspoken cycle of gifting and debt is what circulated goods, and more importantly, it built profound community trust and social status. Interestingly, when actual barter did occur, the historical record shows it was usually reserved for complete strangers or even potential enemies. Basically, situations where zero social trust existed. This completely upends how we think about economics. We really have to contrast the classical commodity theory with the historically supported credit theory. The commodity theory, which again is still widely taught today, insists money naturally grew out of market barter. But the credit theory of money argues something far more fascinating. It says money didn't emerge from some need to trade physical objects at all. Instead, it emerged from a need to track social debt and obligations. Basically, the concept of credit actually came first. So, the absolutely crucial point here is understanding two very distinct categories: money of account and money of exchange. Money of account is basically an invisible ledger system. It's just a way of recording who owes what to whom. Money of exchange, on the other hand, is the tangible stuff, the physical coins, the cowrie shells, the paper notes. And the historical evidence reveals a stunning truth. Money of account, that invisible ledger system, actually preceded money of exchange, the physical currency, by thousands of years. Let's break down exactly how this evolution happened. Anthropologist David Graeber maps out this brilliant progression. It all started with that unquantifiable social obligation in a gift economy we talked about, just the simple feeling of, hey, I owe you one. But as societies grew, particularly the very first agrarian societies, that vague feeling transformed into a quantifiable notion. It became, I owe you exactly 1 unit of barley. And here is the real game changer. Once a debt is quantified into a specific unit of account, it can suddenly be tracked, recorded, and eventually transferred to completely third parties as a medium of exchange. To really grasp this, let's transport ourselves way back in time to ancient Mesopotamia, around 3000 BCE. With the domestication of crops, things obviously took time to grow. A farmer might need goods right now, but they couldn't actually pay until the harvest came in. So, here in these very first cities, the earliest massive credit and debt systems were born. And get this, they didn't invent coins to solve this problem, they invented ledgers. They used asset-backed credit to run their entire society. Now, I want you to think about the banking app on your phone right now. Seriously, the ancient temples in Mesopotamia operated almost exactly like your modern bank. Instead of digital servers tracking your direct deposits, temple administrators used clay tablets to track farmers' barley deposits. When a farmer deposited grain, they got a receipt, a little clay token, which they could then use to pay fees or settle other debts to the temple. It was a highly sophisticated, super organized banking system, completely devoid of physical cash. And we have to realize this wasn't just some quaint local system for a handful of farmers. This ancient temple accounting was the very foundation of commercial credit systems that managed huge, large-scale economic trade. The temples actually financed and controlled foreign trade. To make everything work smoothly across borders, they set fixed exchange rates between bulk goods like barley and precious metals like silver. This system required such extensive, meticulous accounting to manage the whole economy that it literally led to the invention of writing. That's right, the desire to track financial ledgers gave birth to recorded human history. How wild is that?
But wait a minute, this brings up an obvious question. If credit and clay ledgers worked so beautifully to run an entire civilization's economy, why did we ever bother inventing physical coins? I mean, why carry heavy metal around if everyone already completely trusts the temple's ledger?
Well, this brilliantly illustrates why a proxy commodity was finally needed. You can't exactly use local temple credit to buy something from a traveling foreign merchant, and you certainly can't use a local clay tablet to pay an invading or mercenary soldier. As the Greek philosopher Aristotle noted way back when, as inhabitants of one country became more dependent on importing and exporting with another, a portable medium of exchange became absolutely necessary. Physical money was essentially born to mediate transactions with people outside your circle of trust. Looking across the globe, we can actually see how different civilizations independently converged on portable metals to service this proxy money of exchange. For example, we see standardized silver bars used in Mesopotamia around 3000 BCE. Fast forward a bit, and by the 7th century BCE, the Kingdom of Lydia in Asia Minor began stamping the very first actual disc-shaped coins out of electrum, which is an alloy of gold and silver. Meanwhile, over in China, around 400 BCE, the Zhou dynasty was casting bronze money in the shape of miniature spades and knives. But let's take a quick step back from the shiny metal coins for a second, because there is a staggering number we really need to consider. 30,000. Remember how we said money of account relies entirely on the ability to keep a record? Well, anthropologists have actually found tally sticks dating all the way back to the Aryanation period, 30,000 years ago. There's even a 20,000-year-old baboon thigh bone from the Congo called the Ashango bone that uses matched tally marks for correspondence counting. Our drive to track accounts and obligations isn't a modern banking thing. It's literally one of our oldest human traits. And this concept of the tally didn't just stay buried in prehistoric times. Fast forward to the 12th century, and the English monarchy was actually using notched pieces of wood, called tally sticks, to track future tax payments. Because paper was super expensive back then, these sticks were split right down the middle. The treasury kept one half, the taxpayer kept the other. Amazingly, these random wooden sticks began circulating as a medium of exchange. People traded the sticks to settle private debts just because they knew they were backed by public trust in the monarchy. It proves, yet again, that credit and trust, not shiny precious metals, are the true beating heart of money. Which brings us to a really fascinating realization about the modern world. Today, physical cash is quickly disappearing. Most of our money is just virtual credit moving electronically between giant bank databases. But as we've learned in this explainer today, your digital banking app isn't really the future of money at all. It is quite literally a return to the oldest form of money. The invisible, virtual credit we use today operates on the exact same foundational principles as those asset-backed temple credits from 5,000 years ago. So, the very next time you tap your phone or swipe your card to pay for a cup of coffee, I want you to pause and think about this question. Is your high-tech credit card actually just a 5,000-year-old clay tablet in disguise? The technology has definitely changed, but the human networks of trust, debt, and ledgers, they remain exactly the same. I hope you look at the money in your life entirely differently from now on. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.